Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have the Civivi Chronic, one of their newest models. Got to specify that with we. They came out with a whole lot. And I will say, I think this one is kind of going back to their roots in a way. You've got 9CR 18 MOV steel on the blade again. They've been doing a whole lot in D2 for a lot more money, and a little bit more money. This is back to one of their old price points, $48.50. So very happy to see that in this G10 version. It comes in this G10 in a black, a gray, or a blue, or you can get a really fancy pants one with Damascus blade and the carbon fiber handles for $78.50. So still a really big bargain, and it's cheaper than like the McKenna is with the Damascus blade, which you'll see shortly when we get to size comparisons, because I have one of those. The Damascus that they use, it's Civivi is Wee's budget brand. They call it Weemascus. At least anecdotally, I don't know if that's the official name. According to everything I can find out, they're very cagey about what it is, but that Damascus is mostly 9CR from what I've heard. So it's pretty stuff anyway. Like I said, you'll see in a minute. But either way, kind of a slim little gentlemanly sort of design. I really like it. The blade especially is gorgeous. This nice clip point with this beautiful hollow grind, and I love the finish that they use. This blade is just a very, very, very pretty thing to look at. Handle's extremely basic, just kind of blocky. I will say from the photos, I thought this was a much taller knife, in this dimension. It isn't though. It is a very slim, kind of gentlemanly sort of knife. And in that vein, deep carry clip, you do have a kind of a token to you lanyard fans. This is a G10 backspacer, so this isn't like it can be a glass breaker or anything. But you do have something to put a lanyard through if you choose to do that. Usual minimal billboarding you have on Civivi's, just the Civivi logo on the pivot, which I think looks pretty classy, and the usual extremely minimalist steel marking. It's always kind of fun on Wii's and Civivi's, like find the steel marking and see how long it takes you to do it. They always hide them pretty well, but nice looking design overall. I do have to say it's a pretty cool looking knife, and I like these kind of more slender, gentlemanly sort of knives. It's up to you whether that's your jam or not. Let's do some specs and size comparisons before we get too much farther. I'm going to line this up. These are all 1-inch squares. So you have an overall length of 7.4 inches, blade length of 3.25 inches, blade thickness of 0.12 inches, handle thickness of 0.47 inches, and a weight of 2.5 ounces. And Civivi gets the golf clap because that's exactly what they claimed it was going to weigh, and that's what it weighs. So very good. I like it when they get it right down to the 100th. That's just, I got to give them the golf clap for that. Let's do some size comparisons. We'll start out with our usuals. We have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and the Spyderco Para 3. So you can see this isn't a long knife, but it's not extremely short either. It's not a stubby little thing by any means. And we'll do the Benchmade sandwich on this one too with the Benchmade bug out. This is the new CF Elite one, and Benchmade 940. For anybody else, this is the 940-1. So you can see it's more about the length of a bug out, a little bit shorter than the 940. And now let's compare it to some more knives sort of in this category. I think especially if you're looking at the Damascus one, this is kind of a, like I said, I've said multiple times already, like a gentleman's knife. So let's bring out some knives like that. We will start with one of Civivi's own brethren. We will show this is the McKenna. I always forget the name of this one, and that's my daughter's name. That's so bad. A little bit bigger than the McKenna. And we'll bring out, just because I have it here right now, this is the Giant Mouse Ace Sonoma, a little bit smaller than that. And lastly, two more, then we'll move on and talk more about this. We have your Spyderco Ikuchi, which I have to say, I'm really thinking about doing a battle to the death with these two. I like to do the cheap versus not so much. This is like 140, this is 48.50. Comment down below if you think that would be a good idea. I think that would be a fun one. And this is your Ferrum Forge Drop Gent, also made by Wii. A little bit longer than that. Much more slender, but a little bit longer. Okay, now let's get going and talk about this knife. Let's start out with the most important thing, the blade. Love this blade. I really, really do. It's only about 15 thousandths behind the edge, pretty thin blade stock, hollow grind. It is a slicing machine, a laser beam, all those different stupid adjectives you want to add to it. It's stupid descriptors. It's all of those. It is just outstanding. The sharpening choil is very generous. Don't know if I'd call it a forward finger choil. We'll talk about that when we get to ergonomics, but it's great for sharpening. The tip on it is a bit thin, but it's not crazy dainty. It's not, like I worry a whole ton about snapping it off in normal use. This is not the kind of knife you're going to use to pry on stuff. You should never use a knife to pry on stuff, but definitely one like this. Nothing about this says, pry open a paint can with me. Nothing about this knife says that. So plenty robust enough. I just really, really like it. It's been great. And I like the 9CR. In Cedric and Ada's test that he did, Pete did, it's, roughly kind of in that 14C, 28N sort of category as far as how long it lasted in edge retention. I'm trying to remember. I think that's correct. It's somewhere around that area. It is somewhat equivalent to some sort of 440 variant, but they do an excellent, as far as the makeup goes, but they do an excellent job of the heat treat. The Civivis have always been great. I have a backlash that I pound the snot out of, and I'm extremely happy with it. And in my anecdotal usage, yeah, I would still put it in that kind of 14C 28N category, and I love 14C 28N. So it's super easy to sharpen, takes a screaming edge. I really, really like it. And I think especially on a knife like this, much more appropriate than D2. D2 is a great steel if you get the right one, and Civivi's is pretty good, but it holds edge a bit longer than this, probably a lot longer than this, but it's not nearly as easy to sharpen. This thing is nothing to sharpen. This is much more stainless, rust resistant, corrosion resistant. I really like the 9CR. I'm a fan. So if you like the 9CR, it's a great steel. It's not 8CR. It's not the same thing. Don't lump it in with that. Just because it says CR and MOV in it, it's not the same. As far as the ergonomics go, that's where this falls for me a little bit. I love so many things about this knife, but the ergos are not outstanding. Why? This pocket clip and the little token lanyard thing on the back, both hit my palm for sure. It is definitely, sometimes I say I wouldn't go quite as far as calling it a hotspot. This one, I would call it a hotspot. It's definitely, now if I like wiggle my hand around and hold it a certain way, then it's okay. If I hold it down, put it way down here like this, then it's all right. But if you're doing like a push cut and stuff, it's fine. But for your kind of normal, the way you just want to naturally grab it, yeah, it's definitely a hot spot from that pocket clip. And I tried to put the opposite of what I normally do. I actually tried to put some non-deep carry clips on it to see if that would help, because I do think it would. I tried, first of all, I just went through like all the clips that I had laying around. First of all, I tried this. This is off from a Black Fox beam, and it almost works. It's not quite right. I could drill and move the, hollow out one of these holes just a smidge, and it would work fine. Still might do that, and just obviously I would sand off the Black Fox logo on here. I don't use a pocket clip on my bean at all because they're so small. There's just no real reason to. So I might do that. I tried a Kershaw, and the whole pattern is exactly correct, but because these screws are structural, well, with this back one especially is structural, it's a much thicker diameter screw, so it doesn't fit through there. I even tried a Hinderer clip, which would have basically doubled the value of the knife, and it was the same deal. The holes are too small, so I couldn't quite get through it. I'm not gonna drill out a Hinderer clip, but I might modify that Black Fox one. I think it would actually work pretty well, and that would alleviate most of the ergonomic problems, because I did just try carrying it using it with the pocket clip off completely, but I could still feel this little lanyard thing on the end of it. You can still feel it in your palm. So it's, like I said, if you hold it this way, if you really move it around, it's not horrible at all. It's not a deal breaker, but if you hold it in the normal way you want to grab it, yeah, it's not comfortable for my hands anyway, which are large size hands with fairly skinny fingers. But yeah, ergonomics, not great. Carry, on the other hand, is pretty good. Bring out the old Dickies here. And, you know, slides around the pocket pretty good. That G10 texture is very good. And, you know, it's very slim, very slender. You don't feel that flipper tab much at all. You do a bit, I think, kind of, in a way, a bit more than you should because it's so small. But I don't know, it's just the way the pocket clip is angled or something. You do still kind of feel it a little bit. I wasn't expecting to feel it at all. You do just a bit. But as you can see, it takes up virtually no room in the pocket. It's completely fine. I just had a thought, interrupt myself. I may have to do a little drawing here and like put some normal knives in there. I could do that. I could just write on this and then we'd know what it carried like compared to others. Maybe I'll do that. Anywho, yeah, it carries very well, as you'd expect. Action on it. It's a Civivi. I mean, it's great. It's D10 is perfect. I have taken this apart and lubed it up and stuff. You have ceramic detent, ceramic bearings, all the stuff you'd expect on a Civivi. And even though it's a very thin, light blade, just two little wiggles and it slams right shut. It's excellent, just excellent. I really do like the action on this. It is makes a very satisfying bang. You know, lockup's pretty good, centering's excellent, all that stuff. Yeah. So other than the ergonomics, it's a great knife, but the ergonomics are not great. But $48.50 for a nice, gentlemanly sort of knife. I don't think it's a bad buy at all, especially the Damascus Carbon 1 is sexy as can be. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, the ergonomics, while we're talking about that, while I'm banging again. This forward choil, you can use it like as a fingertip choil. I would not do that. I would not do that. That's unless you're a braver man than me. I guess you can, but it's really just an extremely generous sharpening choil. I kind of almost wish they just put a regular sharpening choil and gave us a little bit more blade length, but maybe it would just stick up and be out here. I don't know. But really nice knife, definitely. And I'm glad to see Civivi going back to this formula. But I think the ergos could use some work on it. But $48.50, still not a bad buy. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.